celebrating everything that makes Central Illinois amazing. This is Living Well.
A good day to you. Welcome to Living Well. I'm Yvonne Greer. Hope the day is giving you reason to smile. If not, just think about those near 50-degree temperatures that are headed our way soon. On the show today, the sober revolution, why more and more people are cutting back or cutting out on their alcohol consumption. Medicare open enrollment is now closed. The team at Medical Reimbursement and Management Services will explain what options still exist. And superstar rockers Kiss and David Lee Roth team up for a farewell tour, and they're coming to Peoria. Those stories and more are all on the way, so settle in, friends, as we begin with the day's health and consumer headlines. The recent rise in marijuana vaping by American teens and how healthier diets could slash medical care costs by billions. Tom Hansen has the day's top health stories.
Simple changes to one's diet might help save as much as $50 billion in healthcare costs nationally. That's according to a new study in Boston. Researchers found that increasing consumption of fruits, vegetables, and nuts, plus reductions in processed meats and sugary beverages, might cut nearly 20% of the risk and high cost related to heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. More U.S. teens are vaping marijuana. Doctors in Michigan say the jump in usage from 2018 to 2019 outpaced the previous increase for 10th and 12th graders. Physicians say the spike suggests new prevention efforts aimed specifically at adolescents are needed. And caring for a grandchild can mean less loneliness and isolation for seniors. Doctors in Germany found the activity helped expand social circles, but they warned the positive impact could wear off if grandparents are called upon to babysit too often. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
Researchers are learning more and more about the health risks of vaping. In today's Health Minute, Jeremy Roth brings you the latest on long-term health risks.
In one of the first studies of its kind, researchers have found a link between vaping and the increased long-term risk of developing respiratory disease. Published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, the study monitored e-cigarette users and respiratory disease over a 3-year period. In that limited amount of time, researchers found the odds of developing lung disease increased for e-cigarette users almost as much as it did for cigarette smokers. And if they used both, it went up even more. The study relied on self-reporting from more than 32,000 adults in the U.S. They were asked if they used any type of vaping or tobacco product and if they had ever been told by a doctor they had lung or respiratory conditions. Medical professionals stress that there are still a lot of unknowns when it comes to the health risks of vaping and the true long-term effects on the body. For today's Health Minute, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Researchers have also discovered a link between where a child lives and their risk of obesity. The new study looks at data on more than 3 million children over a 4-year period. Children who were at least a half a city block away from the nearest fast food restaurant were between 2.5 and 4.4% less likely to be obese. Results aren't too surprising because items served at fast food restaurants are typically high in calories, saturated fat, sodium, and sugar. Instead, opt for grilled items instead of red meat and fried foods. Salads are also a good option, and you might consider water over soda. Today, December 18th, is the last day of the open enrollment period for Affordable Care Act plans. This move comes after weeks of low enrollment reports for the 2020 plans. Some people also had issues during the final hours of open enrollment. It was originally scheduled to end on Sunday, and in 2017 the Trump administration cut the budget for the Affordable Care Act advertising by 90%. So now former President Obama has gotten involved, pushing people to sign up. And if you're catching this on WYZZ today, you should note that the enrollment period is now closed for you. So that today was meant for the folks watching on WMBD at 3 in the afternoon. Just ahead on Living Well, consumer news, and we'll also take a look at that drinking, no drinking revolution.
You're watching Living Well on WMBD.
You may have heard of Dry January or Sober September, but there's a new-year-old movement of Americans who are reducing their consumption of alcohol or just cutting it out entirely. Some people are recovering from alcohol addiction, but many are just abstaining from alcohol in pursuit of a healthier, cleaner lifestyle. It's called mindful drinking or sober curious. Dr. Tara Narula has more.
23-year-old Michaela Berry is one of the hundreds of thousands of Americans who identify as sober curious, drinking less or not at all.
It's really hard to be like in your early 20s and, doing things that doesn't revolve around drinking.
There's this kind of blind spot in culture where a lot of our social life and a lot of our nightlife is exclusively built around alcohol.
That's why Lorelei Bendrosky created Listen Bar in New York, a pop-up booze-free bar and social space for clear-headed connections. Big brands like Budweiser and Heineken now sell zero-alcohol beers. The non-alcoholic beer industry is expected to grow to over $25 billion by 2024, and there's also a slew of alcohol-free spirits saturating the market.
I think now it comes from a place of people being very considerate with their choices.
The movement is also helping those in recovery. MJ Gottlieb created the app Lucid to connect recovering addicts and the sober curious.
When I was getting sober, it was diners and coffee shops, right? That was it. Now to be able to show sober dating, sober events, sober travel.
We met Lucid user Philip O'Hara at Getaway in Brooklyn, one of the first brick-and-mortar sober bars in the country. O'Hara has been in recovery for over 3 years and says an app like this provides a space to socialize safely.
You have a platform for people to be connected with other sober people. And then the sober curious movement gets brought into it, right? Turns out you like going to the sober bar, you have more fun, you make more connections, and then you decide on your own that, like, I actually have more fun without alcohol.
A new study found abstaining from alcohol could actually boost mental health and well-being.
Do you think that something like this, Sober Curious, Sober Revolution, Sober Bars, is going to help us when it comes to our mental health?
It's a huge part of what's driving this, sober curious movement is the amount of mental health and depression issues that people are realizing they can't solve with substances.
For those of you that do choose to drink, the CDC dietary guidelines for alcohol consumption is 1 drink a day for women and 2 a day for men. Dr. Tara Narula, CBS News, New York.
In consumer news today, Spirit Airlines is trying to shake off criticism about thin seats and tight legroom space. On Tuesday, the carrier unveiled its redesigned cabin featuring more comfortable seats and bigger tray tables. Spirit says the seats will offer 2 extra inches of usable legroom and tray tables will now be full-sized. And according to the airline, the new seats will have a pre-recline option, which the old ones don't have. The new interior is currently installed on 1 airplane, but the plan is to make it available across the entire fleet. The fast-growing budget carrier says it's been listening to its customers and has delivered on what it calls the optimal Spirit seat. Snapchat is introducing a new feature in its app that will allow you to post your face onto someone else's body using artificial intelligence. The company says the new addition to Snapchat is called Cameo. Users can make videos or GIFs using photos and plaster it onto a digitized body. The technology is similar to deepfake videos. Earlier this year, deepfake videos came under fire because they were used to make fake political videos. The deepfake videos appear or sound just like real people. The Snapchat launch came on Wednesday. Are you stressing about credit card debt this holiday season? Maribel Aber has a few tips to help reduce the financial strain.
It's the holiday season and your credit cards may be straining under all those additional charges. If you're worried about how to pay off that debt or looking for a plan to get those cards back down to a zero balance, here are some tips courtesy of CNBC Select. Look for an opportunity to transfer that balance to a no interest rate card. Now, some cards will even take the balance transfer without charging you a fee. This strategy can free you up to pay off any remaining high interest balances, and you can tackle the card with a zero interest rate that you transferred the balance to. You'll want to pay that off aggressively before the no interest period runs out. If you have multiple cards with balances, pay off the ones with the highest interest rates first. It will help save you money in the long run. Another way of going about this is by tackling the card with the smallest balance first. Oftentimes, that will give you the momentum needed to tackle the card with the next biggest balance. And think about consolidating the debt with a personal loan. This option gives you a fixed monthly payment over a fixed time period, and usually at a lower rate than what you'll have on a credit card. For more on paying off credit card debt, check out the full article at cnbc.com.
Still to come on Living Well, Medicare enrollment info at your fingertips. And later, a dog who literally found himself up a tree.
Go ahead and keep that off the floor, though.
Can we get a mic check on you? Go ahead and say
1, 2, 3, 4, Stephen Butis.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're watching Living Well on WMBD.
Time to take out your scissors again as we get ready to cut through some Medicare red tape with the team at Medical Reimbursement and Management Services. President Stephen Butis and Director of Senior Services Beth Engel are here to help. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So we've talked a lot in the past few months about the open enrollment period for Medicare, but that ended December 7th. So what are people's enrollment options now?
Well, there's 3 specific enrollment periods for Medicare. You have your initial enrollment period. That's the 3 months before you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and 3 months after that. Then there's open enrollment, which is January, February, and March of each year. And then the special enrollment period. And that's for people, it's an enrollment period for people to enroll in Medicare Part B. If they've had employer group health insurance.
Okay, and speaking of employer health insurance, a lot of folks past age 65 are continuing to work. I believe the U.S. Census says 1 in 5 is still going to work past age 65. Does that affect when they should be enrolling in Medicare?
It does, and a lot of people get confused. You know, the first thing that we have to separate is small companies under 20 employees, large companies over 20 employees. Okay. Small companies that people should and probably enroll in Medicare Part B when they turn 65. B as in Baker, so that they have Medicare coverage in addition to their group. Large employers, those employees can wait and waive Medicare Part B as long as their group health insurance is primary on Medicare. They can waive Part B of Medicare until they are going to retire or lose that group insurance.
I will tell you that this is, I'm so glad you guys are here because this is a really difficult subject to understand without somebody like you guys to help walk you through the process. But you've sort of compartmentalized a lot of this information for folks. Tell me about your new newsletter and handout.
Yes, you did. Well, this basically explains when you should enroll in Medicare and when your coverage is going to begin. So we've put this out because it is confusing. It's a very complicated, complex issue. There's 3 different enrollment periods, and depending on what's right for you, if you miss that enrollment period, you could be disadvantaged. You could pay higher premiums, you could have delay of coverage. So it's really important that you understand. So you need to seek out the correct information, which is why we put this out. So people can call our office, 309-693-1060. We'll be happy to send the pamphlet to them and have a conversation with them and explain their options.
And they can stick it on the refrigerator or tack it to a board or something just to remind them of those important enrollment dates.
Right.
Steve, Beth, thank you so much for being with us on Living Well and all your great information. Here's how you can get in touch with Stephen or Beth. If you've got questions about Medicare, you can just email or stop in the office. Their email is, or I'm sorry, their website is mrms-inc.com. Up next, entertainment news is on the way. Rock superstars team up and make a stop in Peoria.
You're watching Living Well on WMBD.
Lucille Ball is getting us into the Christmas spirit in an upcoming CBS special. And Pixar releases a little more magic in its latest trailer for Onward. Nichelle Medina has those stories and more in today's Eye on Entertainment.
Do you love me?
Celebrate the holidays with the Queen of Comedy. CBS will air the I Love Lucy Christmas special December 20th. The one-hour show features 2 back-to-back episodes in color of the hit television series, which aired on the network from 1951 to 1957. The Christmas-themed episodes originally aired in 1956.
We no longer have time to leave out the science.
A Hulu documentary is in the works about 16-year-old climate activist Greta Thunberg. Tentatively titled Greta, the film will track her evolution from student to world-famous activist. The teen was recently named Time Magazine's Youngest Person of the Year. The documentary will stream on Hulu next year. Step into a fantasy world like no other where elves, unicorns, and fairies live alongside grocery stores and garbage trucks. Disney released the final trailer for Onward, an animation movie starring Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. The movie follows 2 elf brothers who embark on a quest to discover if magic truly exists.
Holy toot of Zadar! How did you... I don't know, it just started!
Octavia Spencer and Julia Louis-Dreyfus also lend their voices to the magical animated feature. Onward arrives in theaters on March 6th. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Los Angeles.
They're kind of cute. And now, memories of a Star Wars veteran and rock and roll legends team up. Here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
Anthony Daniels has played C-3PO in Star Wars films since the original in 1977, something he reflected on at this week's world premiere for The Rise of Skywalker.
But it has been a long ride since I first said, I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations, and this is my counterpart, R2. R2-D2, where are you? Still doing it after all these years.
Kiss is getting a special guest on the final legs of its End of the Road tour. The rock legends have announced David Lee Roth will join the band as it heads toward its farewell. No word yet when Roth will join the tour, which runs until July of 2021.
I'm looking for my sons. Oh, they went on a quest. But don't worry, I told them about the map, I told them about the gym, I told them about the curse. I forgot to tell them about the curse! The what?
Here's your latest look at Onward, Disney Pixar's mashup of magical and modern life. Chris Pratt, Tom Holland, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Octavia Spencer lead the voice cast of the animated adventure, which zaps into theaters March 6th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We can rock and roll all night with Kiss and David Lee Roth because that duo will be at the Peoria Civic Center on February 15th. When we come back, today's Take a Look at This shows us how holiday music can be a great source of hospital cheer.
You're watching Living Well on WMBD.
From acts of holiday cheer and kindness to a dog who found himself literally up a tree, Jeremy Roth has it all in today's Take a Look at This.
A nurse at a cancer center in Nashville wanted to make sure one of her patients felt the holiday spirit during his chemotherapy treatments. After hearing that Penn Pennington was a musician, Alex brought her guitar in and convinced him to sing some Christmas songs with her. Their heartwarming duet quickly went viral. It's the busiest season for mail carriers and delivery personnel, hauling your packages up to your front door as fast as you can order them. And this year, one woman decided to show her appreciation.
I thought, you know, what better way to just give a little bit of thank you and spread a little bit of joy this Christmas season than to set out this little treat box for the delivery workers.
This Amazon driver was so joyful, he broke out into a dance. Can you guess his favorite part?
Ooh, and they got the Capri Sun.
It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's a German Shepherd. That's what firefighters found up in a tree after receiving a call for help. Baby, the 2-year-old shepherd, found herself in some trouble after chasing an antagonizing feline.
You can see a full-grown German Shepherd perched atop a pretty large tree, and you can see the cat that was at the end of the limb.
Firefighters set up a ladder and helped Baby down. As for the cat that started it all,
he's still running around here, antagonizing her every day.
Take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
Glad the dog and the cat got out of the tree okay. Thanks so much for being with us today. I appreciate it. Chef Mark is going to be here tomorrow. Don't miss it. He is making prime rib. My tummy can't wait. I'll see you back here tomorrow for more ways to stay powered up and living well. Have a great day.